Hey everyone, Vince with Boomer Electronics here. I recently acquired a Sega Saturn. I had been kind of looking for one for a while and a bit of a challenge. So anyway, here's the listing I got it from. Doesn't read games. I've tried different lasers. Power port is a little loose, might need solder. A plug used for the wires that tells the system the lid is closed broke, so I had to solder the wires to ... the board. It does recognize the door is closed. Motor does work and system has a new battery. The case is in decent shape with light scratches. Well, the case was in decent shape, I'll give them that, and here's kind of a bit of a look at some of the damage that was done on the inside. Yeah, so one of the first things here is the lid switch connector that they mentioned being broken, and I guess that's their repair job, is just kind of sloppily soldering some wires to the leads that were still attached to the board there. But I mean, it does work in theory. And I checked the other side. That looked like it was a factory, so it looks like they only touched the side on the drive board there. And then moving further along here on the power board, it looks like they just globbed some solder down near the plug area. That's not good. I mean, I didn't think the port seemed loose myself. I think the actual problem here was that they didn't screw the board down, so it was just flopping around and shorting itself out. And yeah, when I actually tried to power this on, it was just, it wouldn't power on because of that. If I had the unit apart like this, it would power on, so I'm pretty sure that's what was going on there. Moving on, as you can see over on the left, I did solder a connector onto the lid sensor switch, so it will now plug into the drive board without an issue. And then over on the power board, I just removed the garbage solder that they put on there with some wick and added some leaded solder, so it looks good as new in my opinion. And of course I mounted it down. I found a screw and mounted it down so it would stop shorting out and the unit would actually turn on while it was closed. So then, yeah, then the actual issue was what they actually complained about with the drive not working or not reading games. Taking a look at the drive, one of the first things I noticed is that it seemed like there was a bit of excessive wobble on this spindle. At least compared to other spindles I've seen in the past, so I'm just kind of showing that here. Yeah, it's a little bit wobbly. I just went ahead and replaced the spindle because I have a bunch of extra spindles, so I just replaced that off the get-go to make sure that wasn't a variable we had to worry about. And then I just kind of show here, it's a bit less wobble with the disc. Looking back, I don't think this really mattered, but yeah, I did take that precaution at that time. So after doing all of this, the unit would power on consistently, but unfortunately the laser appeared to be completely dead. And I mean completely dead as in it wouldn't move around the track at all, it wouldn't try to focus on the disc whatsoever, just like no power to the laser at all. And looking around a bit further, I kind of noticed there's just a ground strap that's just dangling around in here. It looks like whoever had this last didn't screw this in. I'm not sure if that needed to be attached for the unit to be working correctly or if it was just shorting against something, but once I attached it, the laser would actually turn on and move around, so it wasn't completely and utterly dead. However, it still wouldn't read disk at all, which was quite unfortunate. At this point, I noticed that the spindle was never moving, which is normal on Saturns. However, I did check by using a AA battery and attaching leads to those two spots I just showed on the bottom of the board to make sure that the spindle was moving and not broken. And the spindle was moving, the spindle wasn't seized or anything, so that wasn't the issue. At this point, it was just looking like a faulty laser. These capacitors, just in case, I measured the ESR on them. All of them were completely in spec. One was a little bit high, but yeah, I was not expecting that to cause an issue of this magnitude with the laser completely being unable to read the disc at all. I did go ahead and replace those capacitors though, and just here's just me showing that the lid sensor switch fix does work, and it does plug in here quite snugly once I can figure it out. Yeah, go ahead and flip it there. This is kind of how I had it set up. And you just plug it in, and yep, does work. Works like a charm. Much better than having two wires loosely soldered there. So yep, went ahead and recap this board. Not because I thought that was actually going to solve the problem, just because this unit's nearly 30 years old, and as general maintenance, I just recap it, just out of habit. And who knows, you know, maybe 1 in a million chances actually gets some life out of the laser. Wasn't expecting it at all. One of the pads here did lift a bit, unfortunately, when I was snipping the leg, so I just threw some solder mask around it to help seat it a little bit better. The connection was still there, though. I checked it with my multimeter, so it wasn't really a big deal. But yeah, just kind of show them my work here, showing that everything looks nice and clean. So over here, here's what's going on at this point with this Saturn, after all the steps I've taken so far. So you power it on here. Yep, and you see the lasers lighting up, going up and down, moving around the track. It's definitely trying. No movement in the spindle, but that's normal for Saturns. The laser has to focus on the disc before the spindle starts moving. So I have an actual legitimate Sega Saturn game here, Robotica. My finger's cutting the A off there, but it's called Robotica. And very, very nice condition disc. And here's an audio CD I was also testing with, also in very great shape. And neither one of these discs was being read whatsoever. So yeah, the laser's doing the same thing under there, just going up and down, trying to locate a disc. You can't find anything because it's looking like the laser's shot. And at this point, it's pretty much has to be the laser itself being fried. The board's been recapped, you know, just in case. That we've confirmed the spindle motor does work. It's not that. Laser is moving around, but the Saturn's never picking up a disc. At this point, we don't really have any other options. We're gonna have to purchase a new laser to get this thing working. Unfortunately, purchasing a new laser isn't easy as just finding a new laser and throwing it in and being done with your day. There's a lot of garbage out there people are selling as working that does not work whatsoever, so we do have to go through this process, unfortunately. After looking around, this is kind of what I settled on, not because I believed that this was actually going to work, but because I couldn't find any listings where I thought the laser they were selling was going to work for sure. So I just bought the cheapest one on eBay. You know, why not, right? That's kind of how that went. It said it was shipping from the US, even though I kind of have my doubts, you know, just going through everything here and reading it over. But this is the one I settled on. I was fully expecting to have to get a return ready once I got this in. So yep, this is what I bought right here. Cheapest laser on eBay. See how this goes. So here's the here's a bit of the opening of the package and the laser that came with it. Optimus 6, this is what the Saturns use. I believe the Sega CDs use these as well. I haven't looked into that too much though. Can't say I've had a Sega CD ever since I was a kid. So, yep. Just snip this open. Looks like it was fairly well packaged. I mean, they advertise these as new. I'm pretty sure none of these lasers they're selling are actually new. I mean, I don't think anyone's really making optical pickups in this day and age, except maybe some rare exceptions. So right here, there's a blob of solder on pretty much all lasers that is there to help prevent electrostatic discharge during shipping that you need to remove. So I'm just showing how to remove it here. So yeah, just remove it real quick with your soldering iron. Just make quick work of it. And once you do that, you should be good to throw this into your console and hope for the best, which is what I'm doing. Just crossing my fingers. Uh, kind of expecting problems based on previous experiences. Well, lo and behold, as you can see right here, I threw it in and it worked with no issues. Calibration was already set as well, set perfectly. Incredible. So, yep, that's what it took to get a working Sega Saturn. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of some of the stuff we do. I'm going to be keeping this console for myself just because I've wanted a Saturn for a while. If you're interested in getting any consoles repaired or having me look at anything, you can visit my website, boomerelectronics.com. Go ahead and fill out the form, and I'll get back to you and let you know. Deal with a lot of older video game consoles, kind of specialize in PS1s and Game Gears, dabble in PS2s here and there. But yeah, if you got any questions or concerns, let me know. Take it easy. Have a good day.